So I pull off the tank off this thing, and slight disappointment ensues. So first of all, for no apparent reason, I found a random thermistor still floating around in the tank. Well, bouncing around in the tank. The fuel pump, which is working, seems like it was rebuilt by Mr. Zombie, who's been in and out of these videos in the comment sections. So that works, but I started looking inside the tank. Let's get some light on. And I see it is not in the best shape. This isn't like super awful, but I do want to do something about it. I'm not sure if that's doing the like drywall screws and shake method, or actually going and coating. I think I might start with drywall screws and a lot of shaking, just because that's easily available. I also got the tail apart, so that it's easier to clean these things, and pulled the Scott oiler out. Didn't really start cleaning, but what I did see is that the front wheels, or the front wheel, because I was already huffing gas pulling this tank out, and like I had a little bit of a spillage, so I used that as an opportunity to wipe down the front wheel. And it looks actually nice. So that's something I'm definitely not gonna have to buy. I'll spin it when I pull the tire, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And what else did I recently do? I capped off. There's a vacuum nipple on the throttle bodies that the Scott oiler. I don't think I can get to it one-handed. That the Scott oiler uses. See those two little black caps? Those are vacuum sources, so Scott oiler uses those to power itself. And here's another reason I don't like the Scott oiler. Because it makes chain completely hassle-free, people forget that they have to do it at all. And they don't. And then the Scott oiler runs out of oil, and you end up with a chain that looks like this. And then you... Delish. And then you park your bike under a tree. So, anyway, time to go see what shakes out. So I've got my drawer of random hardware that I have no attachment to. It's basically just drywall screws. And kind of want to go through and filter out anything that's going to be useless as far as abrasion and then hard to get out of the tank. This is all sacrificial stuff that's not going to survive, because it'll be covered in trash. But that doesn't mean that I want to make it difficult to fish out. Like this washer is going to do nothing as far as getting it done. Yeah. Yep. Pour it in there. Doesn't matter if you get some dirt or whatever in there, because it's all... You're going to have to vacuum out or shop vac out everything that's in there. I literally have a junk hardware drawer specifically for this kind of thing. Because when you need it, you end up not having it. So I'm going to tape up the bottom. not super critical to get a perfect seal. It's easier when stuff doesn't fall out. Tape up the bottom. Good enough. The top still has the gas cap on. And that will go on for the next eternity, honestly. I'm just gonna give it a shake until I get tired, set it aside, and give it another shake, and see what happens. In between bouts of shaking, I really need to get a CrossFitter in here. Have them do a lot of activity for no good reason. Took the subframe off just to clean it, not without hitting a snag, because these bolts are not factory and they look like the wrong thread or they're Loctited, so I have to deal with them. And then I kind of felt around on the steering, and it is really notchy. And because it's so notchy, I figured, like, okay, well, I mean, I already got it up in the air. I'm going to do steering head bearings, too. So, that's yet more things that this needs. Also, a lot of mismatched hardware on here, or a non-factory hardware, so that's stuff that, as I'm putting it back together, I'm going to fish out the correct stuff and get it in there. But, yeah, cleaning, pulling. You know, at this point, it's so hard to not just say, you know what, I'm just going to finish taking it apart and leave it apart, because I'm like 3/4 of the way there. But, no, this one is, the plan is at least to get it back together for now. But somehow I don't have a battery. I don't know why. Like, between all the shit that's in here, I have 0 batteries. So I can't compression test it. But I also am not too worried about that either, because I have a spare motor if I need it. But, yeah, so far just trying to clean, take things apart, see what's broken, see what I need to buy, make a shopping list, and go on from there. And shake the gas tank. So what's really funny to me is somebody's just been in here very recently, because it's all nice and greased. It's way more greased than it ever is. But look at these rusty bearings. Somebody had it apart, greased it. Oh. And I guess whatever their problem they were fighting didn't get sorted. See how there's streaks all over the place? I can kind of feel a little bit of pitting just by hand. Wipe. Let's see what the bottom race looks like. Oh yeah. That is why it was notchy. So they took the top off, replaced the top bearing, or maybe this is a more recent development. Anyway, somebody did the top bearing, but look at these chunks of rust on the bottom race. And that's really why it was crackly. Alright, so new steering head bearings I will get. So a pretty cool thing I learned with the ABBA stand is it lets me have a hover bike. Well, with some straps, but yeah, it just kind of balances on the, sits on the pivot point. So having pulled the wheel, that's over there somewhere, and kind of dug in a little further. I'm seeing quite a bit of stuff I definitely need, and I need to source. So I've discovered the bar's slightly bent, which is no big deal. I think I have bars. I discovered the chain guide, this guy, is pretty chewed up. Let me see if I can get some light on. Is pretty chewed up towards the middle here. Maybe I can get away without doing it, but it's also, you know, it's also a part that kind of sucks to replace because you have to pull the swing arm. At that point, I'm basically like, I'm at a point where I might as well pull the whole bike apart. So either that's not getting done, and I'm gonna call it good enough, or that's gonna pull the bike apart. But while I was kind of pondering life, I started to kind of think about what this thing needs, and my list is getting slightly bigger, slightly bigger, slightly bigger. So I don't have prices for any of this yet because, you know, I'd have to go look it up. But yeah, this is starting to make less and less sense, especially when I see that there's plenty of things that are like sellable as is, like lower triples or whatever, and you know, start seeing dollar signs. But yeah, this is definitely still a rebuild for now.